Number 5, which polynomial is equivalent to this polynomial in parentheses plus this polynomial in parentheses? So note we're just adding, not multiplying like terms after we distribute. Really, the coefficients of the parentheses are 1 in each case, so not much to distribute here. So 12x to the 4th plus 6x to the 4th, well, we're not multiplying, so we can never get x to the 8th. A and B are wrong. 12x to the 4th plus 6x to the 4th should be 18x to the 4th, and that's true of C and D. Now we could differentiate on the x squared terms. Notice there is no x squared term in the first parentheses, essentially plus 0x squared. Plus 13x squared is plus 13x squared. It's not 8x squared. So our correct answer is going to be C for 5. We can double check that with the x terms and the numerical terms, which, by the way, we note are different as well. 2x or 25x. It's minus 5x plus 7x is 2x. So yeah, that checks for C. And 18 plus minus 9 is plus 9, not minus 9. That checks for C as well. Okay. Number 6. The equation y equals x plus w over z relates to positive numbers w, x, y, and z. Which equation correctly expresses x in terms of w, y, and z? So if we scan the answer choices here, we can see everything is solving for x. So we need to solve for x. Well, how do I do that here? Well, first things I'm going to do is, let's just start with our equation again. W over z. Okay. If I want to isolate x, I'm going to multiply both sides by z. Get rid of my denominator as the first step. So zy equals x plus w. Now I want to subtract the w off the side of the x to isolate my x. And I'll get x, w's cancel, equals zy minus w. Well, that answer is A. X equals yz minus w. Note zy and yz are the same. Multiplication is commutative. The order doesn't matter. 2 times 3 equals 3 times 2. They're both 6. So these are the same. A is the correct answer for 6. Number 7, g of x equals 0.038x plus 2.136. The linear function g models the annual percentage increase in population of India x years after 1990. So 1990 is time 0, or x equals 0. What is the best interpretation of G20? Well, that'll be 20 years later, or 2010. Equals 1.376. Well, again, G is the annual percentage increase in India's population. So this says over a 20-year period from 90 to 2010, the annual increase, percentage increase in the population of India will be 1.376%. Let's look for that answer. A, 1.376 years after 90? No, it's 20 years after 1990. 1.376 years after 90, again, that's misunderstanding. It's 20 years after 90. 20 years after 1990, this looks good, C so far, the percentage increase in the population of India, that's exactly what G models, as defined above, was 1.376% over the previous year. That is, per year or annual. This is correct. C is the right answer for number 7. Let's just check D. 20 years after 1990, India's population was approximately 1.376 times the population 90. No, again, that's also misunderstanding the function itself. It is a percentage, annual percentage increase in population. Number 8, f of x equals a times x minus b times x minus c. Well, okay, a, b, and c are constants for the graph y equals f of x in the xy plane. The quadratic function f, that's what this is. It's a factored form of a quadratic. Okay, and remember, a tells us the direction and shape of that parabola. If it's positive, the parabola opens upward. If it's negative, the parabola opens downward. Okay, b and c are our roots. what do they tell us? So it opens upward. That means A is positive. It's greater than 0. And the coordinates of its vertex are both negative. So that means B and C have to be negative. Well, actually, really, the x value, the B, well, B and C, right? So these are the x values of the roots. They would be B comma 0, C comma 0. They would both have to be negative. So B is less than 0 and C is less than 0, right? That's the only way this could occur. So the correct answer here is C. A is greater than 0, B is less than 0, and C is less than 0. If we wanted to see that in an actual graph, that would look something like this. We'd open upward, and B and C would be negative values. So I'd have a B and a C somewhere here to the left of the y-axis, right? My vertex would then be negative H comma K would be, let me say that again, H comma K would be a negative and a negative, which is exactly what they say. The coordinates of the vertex are both negative. So that would mean the vertex is the average of B and C. B and C must be negative. I should clarify one point. B and C don't have to be negative, but they could be negative, which is answer choice C. It is possible I have a parabola that looks like this, right? Where B is negative, my vertex is still negative, the H value and the K value in this case, but my C is positive. So it's possible C is greater than 0, but of course that option doesn't exist among the answer choices. So C is the only answer that could be true.